Om Namo Baghavathe Shri Ramanaya. Hari Om. Delighted to be here to reflect on the theme Ramana's Atma Vichara. And today, what we are going to take up for reflection is a statement made by Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi in Tamil. It goes as Atma Viddhai Aiyae Athi Sulabham. Athma Viddhai Aiyae Athi Sulabham. This is a statement which he has made in Tamil. If you translate it in English, Athma Viddhai is self-knowledge. So he says, hey, the self-knowledge is gained easily. Because in Tamil, the word Sulabham, Sulabham, Labha is to gain. Sulabha is easily gained. So he says, the self-knowledge is easily gained. Interestingly, when you hear this, then you will be either awestruck or there will be a disbelief. How can you say it's easily gained? Especially when you see ourselves struggling with this. Yet, Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi says, is easily gained. So let's take this opportunity to reflect on this. The first thing is, though we may not be willing to believe it, we cannot ignore the fact that it's a statement made by a Mahatma, Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi himself. So then, you cannot just disregard it, saying that, no, it can't be true. Definitely, that's out of the question. Then the next thing, what comes to our mind is that maybe he was exaggerating a little bit to get us going in this. What they say, especially in the literature, they call it poetic license, where exaggeration is allowed. So is it that kind of exaggeration? Or is he trying to extol? And to extol it, he is resorting to this kind of exaggeration. Then again, as I said initially, the statement is made by a Mahatma, and they have no reason to resort to lies, number one. And they have no reason to mislead us also. As such, you cannot even consider it as an exaggeration. So you have to accept it. And you can treat it as a Mahavakya also, a statement proclaiming the truth. So then, if you have to accept it as a truth, then we have to examine what makes us believe is hard, so that we find it difficult to accept it. And then we also have to understand why is he saying it's easily gained. So from where and from what has this sense of difficulty has arisen is something which we need to examine first. On one hand, so many scriptures talk about so many spiritual practices which has to be done, and they also talk about it has to be done for a long time. Then of that, some of it is like giving up what you are comfortable with, giving up your likes and dislikes, etc. So you hear about that. Then you see people struggling in this path. And also, when we also try to do it, when we try to follow a particular spiritual practice like meditation or something, we find it difficult to do it consistently and continuously. So all of this would have caused this sense of difficulty in one way. The second thing about this sense of difficulty is that, you see, in this world, what we are trying to do is to avoid sorrow, and we try to seek happiness. And in order to achieve that, we engage ourselves in various activities. So, the relief from the sorrow and the sense of happiness in the worldly sense is directly proportionate to the effort we put in. This has been our experience. If you put a little effort, you can avoid sorrow a little. But if you have to avoid sorrow continuously, then you have to consistently go on putting effort. And if I get an object which will give me happiness, and I get another object which will give me greater happiness, then that object requires more effort to gain. So, with little effort, I can avoid a little sorrow. With a little bit more effort, I can avoid a little bit more sorrow. And same thing goes with happiness also. With little effort, I can get a little bit of happiness. With a little bit more effort, I can gain more happiness. So this is what we are used to in the worldly sense. And here, when scriptures talk about self-knowledge, which is the key to ending the sorrows once and for all and attaining eternal happiness, that we think is the biggest thing. As such, we unconsciously are tempted to think means we have to put a lot of effort. Hence the sense of difficulty. Hence our disbelief of this statement that self-knowledge is easily gained. So now we have understood what is it which makes us think that attaining self-knowledge is difficult. Now we have to examine whether that's correct and why Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi is saying that this is easily gained. Why is he saying that it is easily gained? Is because when you talk about gaining something, there are two types of gaining mainly. One is gaining something which you don't have. So that is not there with me, and as such, I have to put effort to get it. The second thing is, it is already there with me. It is just that I do not know that it is there. So it is there with me. So I don't have to put effort to gain it. As such, it doesn't involve effort in gaining that knowledge, because it's already there with me. So this self-knowledge belongs to that latter category, where we are talking about gaining something. Actually, it is there with us. It's just that we do not know that we have it. And as such, it doesn't involve effort to gain it, but coming to know that we have it. So basically, the self-knowledge is easily gained. The statement is true because we already have that knowledge. It is there with us, waiting to be revealed, waiting to be discovered. As such, it doesn't involve any effort to gain it. So this is one of the main reasons why it is said the self-knowledge is easily gained. Also, gaining anything else in this world involves not only me, it involves everything else in this universe. Basically, universe has to cooperate with me for me to gain anything in this world. As such, me gaining something or not gaining it not only depends on me, but it also depends on the external factors. However, when it comes to self-knowledge, it does not depend on any external factors, because as we discussed already, it is there with us already, waiting to be discovered by us, meaning it doesn't involve anything or anybody else other than us. So nothing or nobody can prevent us from discovering this. Nothing can stop us from finding this. Whereas anything of this world, attaining anything of this world, as we are dependent on so many things, any of that can be an obstacle, any of that can prevent us, any of that can stop us from gaining that. However, self-knowledge, which is there with us already, and the discovery is to be done by only us through the process of self-inquiry, Atma Vichara, and it doesn't depend on anything else external. Nothing or nobody can stop us, prevent us from gaining it. In fact, to put it in another way, this is the only thing you can be assured of gaining it with 100% certainty. Anything of this world, you may gain, you may not gain it. Nobody can say with 100% certitude that you will gain it. But when it comes to self-knowledge, As it does not depend on anything else, that is the only thing you can say, you can gain it with 100% certainty. Okay, logically it appears to be acceptable. As we discussed, it is there already with us, so it is waiting to be discovered. As such, we don't have to put effort. Yes, you can say we accept it. Then the question arises, why am I not discovering it? What is the purpose of all these spiritual practices? There are many recommended. Why do I have to do all of that, etc.? Which is a very valid question. So we need to understand the purpose of the spiritual practices. And what is the difficulty I have in discovering this, which I already have? In order to understand that, we need to primarily understand the purpose of the spiritual practices. Sadhana. The effort we put in performing these spiritual practices is not to gain the self-knowledge. The effort what we put in the name of spiritual practices or sadhana, is to unlearn the notions we have formed about ourselves. I am a person, I am this, I am that, or in the language of the scriptures, I am this body, the dehatma bhava. So these are the wrong notions which I have formed, defining myself as a finite entity. And that has seeped into me very deeply over many a birth. So the purpose of spiritual practice or the sadhana is to unlearn that, to give up those thinking. So basically, through self-inquiry and other practices like meditation, japa, etc., what we are trying to do is to, number one, identify these wrong notions, erroneous notions we have about ourselves. So one is to identify the erroneous and wrong notions. Then understanding why the scriptures are saying these are erroneous and wrong notions. The scriptures say these are erroneous notions. So first we have to know that. But that just knowing that this is what the scriptures say doesn't help. We need to understand it logically. So we need to use our reasoning, we need to use our logical thinking in understanding why the scriptures say these are all erroneous and wrong notions. So once the understanding is good and the understanding is firm, that's what we call conviction. We need to be convinced that these are all wrong notions, these are all erroneous notions, that the notions what I have about me or dehatma bhava is wrong. I need to be convinced. So that is one part of spiritual sadhana. Then being convinced that these are all erroneous and wrong notions, then giving up these wrong notions. So he said, Nakarmanana prajadhanena tyage naike amrtatva manashuddha. Amrtatva, the immortality, is gained by tyaga, renunciation. what are you really renouncing? You are renouncing the wrong notions. When we talk about wrong notions, is actually the thoughts which are lending reality to something which is not real. The thoughts which are regarding the temporary as permanent. The thoughts which are regarding the changing as changeless. So basically, when we talk about renunciation, it boils down to renouncing these thoughts. Well, this is the thing. This is the very thing which is preventing me, is my own thoughts, which is preventing me from experiencing who I am. Because my attention is on these notions and identifying with these notions. I am very busy imagining myself to be this, what you call body, mind and intellect, or deham, or this person which is continuously in a flux. And I get busy trying to make it permanent, the changing body, mind and intellect, which is constantly in a flux. My preoccupation is in life is to try and make them permanent, which is an impossible task, which cannot be done. I am ever busy engaged in this. So the whole purpose of negation is to understand this wrong notion, and understanding this wrong notion, and then as a result of this understanding, giving up the wrong notion. And that is where we put in the effort. So negation is to do with giving up or renouncing these wrong notions, which makes me think that I am this person, I was born on this day, I will die, etc. Going on, trying to keep these definitions alive. So when that effort is, that putting that effort is brought to a halt, that's all we are trying to do. We are trying to bring an end to putting that effort. So we may think that in the name of sadhana, we are putting a lot of effort. But in the name of sadhana, what we are trying to do is bring the effort to an end. What effort? The continuous effort we put in, trying to keep the changing as changeless, trying to keep the impermanent as permanent, unreal as real. We put a lot of effort. So what we are trying to do is, in the name of sadhana, we are trying to bring that to an end only. Is the second part of sadhana. So basically, the effort we put in is not to discover the self-knowledge, it is already there, but the effort what we are putting in is to get rid of the wrong notions or erroneous notions what I have gathered. In other words, cleaning up the garbage which I have collected over many lifetimes. So it's kind of a cleaning up operation, house cleaning. So once you get rid of these wrong notions, etc., the self-knowledge which is there already, it illumines so much so that the scriptures say it's self-illumining. So it is not something which is known by effort. It reveals itself. So you don't put any effort to know it, because it self-illumines. So no effort whatsoever is involved in gaining that self-knowledge, because which is already there. So what was happening is that my wrong notions they were preventing me from discovering myself. The wrong notions I have about me was basically, they were preventing me from knowing who I am. The moment I give up these wrong notions, then me discovering myself is instantaneous, it's effortless. And that is why Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi says, Atma Viddhai, Aiyae Athi Sulabham, that self-knowledge, hey, it is easily gained, implying it's effortless and it is already there, self-revealing. However, where the effort goes in is that in getting rid of the wrong notions, which traditionally referred to in scriptures as ignorance or ego or ahankara. The word ignorance, the word ego, the word ahankara, all of these words denote the same thing. The wrong notions I have about who I am. So these wrong notions, when they go away, then the self-knowledge shines forth. So effort, if at all, is put in getting to know what these wrong notions are, which I have about me, being convinced about it, and giving them up. That's it. The self-knowledge, which is already there, which shines forth. And therefore, Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi says, is gained easily. So that is the Mahavakya, which is worth reflecting upon, because more we are convinced about this, the fact that it is there with me and it can be gained easily, greater the sense of motivation I will have in doing my spiritual practices, the sadhana, to come out of the wrong notions and discover who I am. Om Namo Baghavathe Shri Ramanaya.